Hey everyone, welcome to our show podcast, Mind Your Health. Today I'm going to be talking to you about a topic that sort of compiles all my education and my knowledge into one cohesive way to really provide you with optimal health. And I really want you to keep in mind and follow closely as I discuss all about Gut Health 101. Super excited because I felt like I found a area where I can converge all the information and really help as many of you as possible to really problem solve your health issues as they become symptomatic before it becomes disease. So one thing that I want you to really recognize is that gut health is where it all starts. When I want you to think about gut health, I want you to think about its impact into all the other systems in the body. Gut really is the entryway point into our body. What's outside of our body, the environment, into the inside of the body, right? Just like we have influences environmentally, mindfully, as well as all the pollutions that we are surrounded by. Really, gut is really what allows us to assimilate the information of the outside world. But also there is a behavioral component in order for us to feed our gut whatever it is that we're feeding, right? Such as eating. So I want you to really think about eating as a separate entity from gut health, right? Because eating is the choices that we make in the foods that we eat. We have to put it into our mouths for it to be processed in the body. So I want you to pull out from thinking of dietary restrictions and all the things that are out there on social media, all the noise, dealing with the symptoms. I want you to really go to another or really approach this differently with me today. Okay. Really, gut health in the Eastern medicine philosophy emphasizes gut health as the first foundation for wellness and longevity. There's so much consideration that is given to improving gut health. And that's where most of what they believe where the health lies, right? The secret sauce to health and wellness. And when it comes to the gut, the first thing that comes to mind is really, of course, the diet. So naturally, there's a myriad of diet options out there today, but not every diet is for everyone. And the truth is that there is no one size fits all diet. And we all vary so greatly from culture to family values to our relationship with foods and also genetically. We're all individual and we're all different. And for some, they eat to live, and others, they live to eat. Then there are a spectrum of people in between who struggle with the right balance, right? And the truth is that nobody can really dictate what diet you should be on. And there seems to be a really polarizing divide on nutrition and diet. It varies largely based on your goals, like losing weight, if you're into improving your overall health, reversing disease, gaining muscle, etc. Whatever your goals are, though, one common denominator is that you need gut health for all such goals. So rather than focusing on what's right or wrong and nitpicking the stuff and really being overwhelmed in confusion, I want you to focus on gut health as it pertains to your overall health and wellness. There are many different symptoms that you may currently or have experienced in the past. I'll refer to them as pesky symptoms that may be marginally affecting your quality of life today. It's safe to assume, though, that many of those symptoms are due to gut dysfunction. Such symptoms include bloating is a common one, gas, constipation, diarrhea, or anywhere in between, stomach aches, body aches and pains, headache, food sensitivity is on the rise, hormonal imbalance, and weight gain is a big thing, brain fog, fatigue, insomnia, anxiety, different cravings for foods, depression, rashes, etc. The gut affects just about every system, every organ in the body. as it provides that barrier between the outside world and the inside of your body. It's responsible for processing the food we eat to have a nourishing effect. And this means that it has to go through our whole digestive tract, which involve the cranial nerves in the brain that allow us to smell and taste the foods, to the enzymes that needs to be released as we digest the food into our digestive tract that allow us to break down the food from various organs, which include the spleen, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, pancreas, out the rectum, just to name a few. Whatever goes in, though, has an effect in the body, and it must come out in some form, right? Processed, whether it's through our kidneys, lungs, or our digestive tract. And the effect of our consumption, whatever we eat, affects all the orifices of our body, which includes our ear, the health of our ear and the infections, the nose, the throat, even your vaginal canal and your rectum. And it influences what you eat, influences its endothelial lining. It's the lining on the inside that's very moist, that can really harbor lots of bacteria, viruses, and such, and even yeast. And the two most important factors that I want to emphasize is the microbiome, which include really the bacteria, yeast, and even viruses, and the vagal nerve, which connects the brain to the gut. Vagal nerve is one of the cranial nerves as well, okay? And that's a particular nerve that you'll familiarize yourself with in working with me and listening to this podcast, all about really connecting the mind to your body, minding your health. So there's a growing body of research to state the importance of healthy microbiome. And there's a lot of products out there. There's prebiotics now, postbiotics, as well as probiotics. You guys are all familiar with it. Microbiome is collectively the bacteria that coexist in our bodies. And it's believed that we have more bacterial cells than we do our own cells within our body. So we're outnumbered. The ratio is like 10 to 1, right? 10 of the bad guys, the bacteria, and 1 of us. But not all bacteria is bad. They actually have a symbiotic, beneficial relationship with us. And the reason why we get influx of bad bacteria in our body to create this imbalance in our gut is because of the increasing permeability of our gut due to modern day stress, different medications like antibiotics, even antidepressants, or any medications that can have an effect on the permeability of our gut, and our unhealthy lifestyles, where it tends to be very sedentary. And many of us are invaded by more bad bacteria than the good ones in our body, truth be told. This is what causes chronic disturbance, leading to inflammation that ultimately manifests as symptoms, the pesky symptoms that I spoke of. And the problem is that most doctors don't focus on preventing the disease. It is only when your symptoms get out of hand to the point where it can be picked up in the labs through your blood that it can be diagnosed, that they can actually name the disease and diagnose you, only to provide you with what? Medications that further perpetuate the disease but alleviate the symptom in that moment. And it becomes your path, further diminishing the balance of the good to bad bacteria, the balance of the microbiome. This is because the cause of the gut dysfunction is largely due to what's called dysbiosis. I'm sure you've heard of the term. It's really an imbalance of microflora in your gut between the good and the bad bacteria. And there are 3 types of dysbiosis. Number 1 is that you may lack the good type of bacteria due to antibiotic use. And then after a while, second type would be that you have too much bad bacteria if you don't do anything about taking antibiotics and really creating a culture or good enough bacteria by taking the right probiotic strains to make population a good bacteria in your gut. And that takes effort and knowledge for you. And then, like I said, The second type of dysbiosis is having too much of the bad bacteria, right? You don't have enough good, you have too much of the bad. And then the third type is you really also need diversity of the good bacteria to have a net healthy effect. This means there is a different types of strain. We just don't have one type of bacteria. We need a diversity of them. But listen very carefully, right? Because so much of the solution for our gut issue is to treat the symptoms. So much so that holistic or functional approaches or holistic or functional medicine approaches are really to eliminate the foods to alleviate the symptoms. Going back to one of the symptoms, it's food sensitivity. So we end up doing FODMAP diets or even elimination diets. There's many different diets, might be good short term, but a lot of patients get stuck on these diets and then they only have less than like 5 foods that they can eat without the fear of eating, because they associate food with bad, which causes further stress, which then further causes gut permeability issues to affect the microbiome, which stress is number one thing that affects your microbiome as well, not just your foods, which makes sense, right? That you would address the food by eliminating the things that you don't tolerate very well. But again, going back to the third type of dysbiosis is having the diversity of good bacteria. And for you to have a diversity, you need all the foods in the food pyramid, right? You need many different types of vegetables and good source of proteins and fats in order for you to have symbiotic, harmonious, sort of a diversity, healthy environment in your gut. When you're on an elimination diet for a long time, there's no chance for your good bacteria to really thrive. So then you get stripped of the good, and then you might have the bad guys coming in too much from the influx due to gut permeability issues, from the stress of, the confusion that causes confusion that arises when you're choosing the foods and you're scared to eat something. Fear is also a type of stress, right? So this further perpetuates the problem by lacking the diversity of the microbiome, as well as the fear factor causing a number on your stress cycle, affecting your central nervous system, right? And how that all plays together is what I really want to go deeper into. Because if you understand it and you have context for why you do what you do, it really sinks in for us, right? And all this leads to perpetual struggle going from symptom to symptom without a diagnosis, right? Because you're not really diagnosed, but you feel awful. And it's affecting your whole body system to create your overall weaker physiology conducive to then developing a disease. It's almost like you're waiting for that diagnosis. And that's where I want to come in and help you to reverse all the things, all the symptoms. Symptoms are much easier to reverse than having to reverse an acute flare-up from a disease or such. I know because I've lived with an autoimmune condition and I've had to do this time and time again. So my goal is to keep you from having to go into a flare if you do live with a condition. Or if you're struggling with symptoms of, then I want to reverse that for you so you never have to be subject to any of the things that I've had to go through. The solution isn't to try this or that diet, but to approach it holistically and strategically through lifestyle intervention. And as the great Stephen Covey once said, you need to begin with the end in mind. Always think about your end goal. We make efforts to be healthy in order to thrive in our lives, not to eliminate foods, because eliminating foods is no way to live your life. It's like eliminating the joy of eating. Remember, we exercise, we do yoga, and eat a healthy diet in order to be free of disease. Yet, there's a growing trend of health-conscious people who do all the things, but still struggle with gut issues that slow them down. And that was me for a long time, stuck in that pattern. Knowledge is not always your best friend, okay? It's applied knowledge, and sometimes we have to go with the gut instinct. All the more reason why I'm talking about gut health, Because if your gut isn't healthy, you don't have the ability to really sense your intuition, go with your gut feeling. Sometimes common sense wins the battle. We don't need to make something complex. We don't need to create a problem out of no problem. And so it's not just about doing all the things. It's more about creating a healthy balance within your body through your lifestyle. That's going to be your best bet in winning this battle and really creating wealth and longevity that you want. Your gut needs healing, period. But it can only heal when you combine a balanced diet plus healthy movement, plus a way to stress manage, plus become self-aware. All this requires you to use your own intuition, as I mentioned, which requires gut health, to find the best balance of all such components rather than focusing on one area, like obsessing over the diet and what foods to eat. I see lots of imbalances today in the name of health and wellness. Just as in life, we have dichotomy, such as hot and cold, up and down, life and death, yin and yang. There's a natural order to things that we must focus on. We must constantly keep the end goal in mind. That is harmony in the body that starts with balance in the microbiome, which is then dependent not just on the diet itself, but the condition by which you eat the food, your mind, your feelings, your body, the way you carry yourself. That's the foundation, you guys. That's what you need to focus on, because your stress can affect the microbiome through the cranial nerve called the vagal nerve. Okay? The vagal nerve is the nerve that connects the gut to your brain. This nerve allows for the gut muscle to push the food down. It's called the peristalsis, to activate all the necessary enzymes that I talked about, as well as substrates. It's the chemicals that produced in the body that are needed properly to digest our food, as well as assimilate it into our body and push the excess out of the body. And this ultimately affects what? Our hormone system as well. And so if you can address the gut health, not only can you improve your muscle mass, you can also lose weight effortlessly, as well as to have health and balance in the body and feel and look your very best with your end goal in mind. In order for the vagal nerve to flow optimally, though, because that's what you want, it to flow optimally, to have an outflow to affect your autonomic nervous system. And I'll explain that in just a little bit. In order for the vagal nerve also to flow optimally, you need to do what? You need to move your body, right? And the best form of movement for brain health to optimize that vagal flow is yoga. And that's why yoga is touted as one of the best forms of movement or exercise, because it connects the breath with movement, which enhances your self-awareness. And it helps with the vagal nerve flow, which shifts the body from a stressful state to a calm and peaceful state. Now, coming back to that autonomic nervous system that really is affected by your vagal nerve, which is part of your brain. It has a dual function, though. The sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is all about fight or flight, and the parasympathetic nervous system is all about rest and digest. We need both, but we also need balance between the two systems for it to function and provide the health, or for optimal health and wellness. Balancing the autonomic nervous system goes hand in hand with optimizing vagal nerve flow to the digestive system, enhancing your microbiome health. The ultimate solution for you then to understand is the workings of your body and mind to help it reach optimal harmony and balance, both in the mind and body, to the gut and the microbiome. Do you see how everything comes together? And you have to focus on what you can do to enhance its option or function. Okay. And this is not something anybody else can do for you. It's only something that you can do. Altering the inner physiology is in large part involves primarily your involvement. Small shifts daily and small things, small steps that you can do daily to help your body from a dysfunctional state to a optimal functioning state by producing a state of balance and harmony in the body, that's ultimately going to lead to healing your body, healing your gut. So Heal Your Gut is a program that I am developing, and we are beta testing this new program at a significantly less than what I would normally charge. If this message resonates with you, number one, we're going to be producing a lot of content around gut health and how it affects the way you think and feel, as well as to move, to really improve your overall digestive tract, to improve your overall health, as well as to diminish or eliminate all the symptoms before it becomes ultimate disease in the body, is what this program is all about. So I want you to click the link below so that you can be the first one to know and get on the wait list for this, because the space is going to be limited for this first go around. So I want you to sign up now, and it's going to be the ultimate health revolutionary program that's going to shift you in ways you never imagined before. You'll be hearing more about this, and I just wanted to share that news with you today. I hope this was helpful, but remember that gut health is the most important. It's the pathway to healness, or a pathway to health and wellness. And I want you to really remember that it's something only you can control, and it's something absolutely you can do, and get rid of those pesky symptoms before it becomes disease. You shouldn't be playing around and waiting for you to be diagnosed. And that's a whole new topic that I'll be speaking to you about, so that you can get yourself and not experience what I've had to experience. I will talk to you guys soon. Click the link below, get waitlisted, sign up so that you be the first one to know. Thanks so much for joining me.